Right, guys, welcome back. This is the Above Average FPL podcast. My name's Adam, and as always, I'm joined by Baker. But this evening, we're also joined by Luke. Hi, Luke. How are you?
I'm good, mate. Apart from the stamp on the old face that we've been talking about, that explains these two bits. But otherwise, I'm pretty good. How are you doing?
Yeah, good, man. Little bit of a late edition.
It is.
Yeah,
Seems like a good week for it, though. Seems
It's
like a
not.
good week.
It's not revisiting puberty then. Like you're past that. It's not an outbreak.
I'd happily go back, Baker, to those days. Happily go back. Now, I just decided to play football for the first time in ages and managed to have a centre back stamp on my face perfectly. Like, just looking at the world's biggest feet. I don't know what was going on with the gap between his
So
boot, but
is that 1 foot across the face or
I,
two?
I was in a mess, mate. I assume so, but I don't know. It's just in a huge pile.
We're too
Yeah.
old.
I
We're too
know.
old.
What am I doing? Mucking about. Shouldn't be bothering, should I? But anyway, I've survived and I'm here. And like I say, it's probably a decent week for me to be on, considering it's Man City and my DMs are just full of people talking about it. So I thought I'd rather just put something out there. And you guys kindly allowed me to do that.
How much do you get nowadays? On the old, because the whole thing really, if you think about like, I mean, you and Tony had us on strings for the last 3-4 years, but this season it's really just been, well, it's Haaland, and everyone's got him, and everyone's capping him.
Yeah, it doesn't happen that often. You're right. I think people have kind of got the message anyway. It's like in the years past, there were scenarios, weren't there, where everyone not only was the team more set up in a way where people always wanted leaks, but also they just seemed to be more popular picks, like you said. And like that doesn't really seem to be a thing. It's like people have learned their lesson after years and years. They're like, not going to muck around with that anymore. So it isn't as much, but it still happens. Like beginning of the season, I don't know if you can remember, Oscar Bob started like the first 4 or 5 games in a row.
Yeah, yeah,
Everyone was
yeah.
going crazy for Oscar Bob. Like, is he the new pick? He's like 5 million. Like, it still happens occasionally. It's nice that it happens. I don't hate that or sort of get too upset with it. It's an honour if anything that people contact me for it, but it's a lot of pressure as well. So that's why I kind of take a back seat these days. It's like I don't want to keep putting it out there, and if you get it wrong, you feel responsible. So try to take a back seat from it.
How much do you still try and predict that?
I'm doing it every day, every game in my own mind. Whether I put it out or not is another matter because X is just a mad place, isn't it? Anytime you put anything out there, you're always exposing yourself to idiots, unfortunately. So, if anything, I usually just do it in like private discords and that. And it's also a time thing, like you say, and also a want. Not every week anyone cares about City. Most of the time, I just want Haaland. So there's some weeks where it's just brushed over. But I'm always trying to work it out in my head anyway, just for the fun of it, for the game, really.
It's fun. It's fun. Yeah, I mean, I guess for anyone, like, we've got people in here that are probably, in the chat and watching this and stuff that don't really remember this. So, uh, weren't you around when it was? I remember a story you had once where it was like you used to like go to, was it where they do the VAR now
Yeah, Stockley
and like get
Parks.
Stockley
I've,
Park, yeah, and get,
yeah.
and like back in the day of lineups and stuff like that. So
Yeah, I've had a load of strange jobs over the years, mostly due to fantasy football scout and then working with Mark Southerns at one point. He actually had me working in the goal accreditation place at one point as well, and I worked for BT. What was it called? BT Score Zone, I think it was called that. Mic'd up to Jules Beach, and I'd be like telling her FPL facts, and I'd have all the games in front of me, and I'd have the guy next to me used to get the lineups when we used to get them. Is it 15 minutes? We get them
yeah,
15
yeah,
minutes later now, but it used to be where they'd get them 15 minutes early and the deadline would be later. So I'd have all the teams' lineups. That was like 5 or 6 years ago, right in front of me. And that was crazy power because it's like, oh my God, what can I do with this? And most of the time I'd muck it up as usual, make a transfer, stupid move, and it would backfire. And I'd be like, oh my God, I don't need this in my life.
yeah. You must have done loads of moves. If we all knew. Because this is where this comes around to. I was just thinking about this, tie into what we're doing here. It's like free hit, isn't it? It's almost like we've got these players, yeah, and we're now, especially with Man City and Liverpool, for example, it's like if you knew the lineups, would it make you free hit? Like, because of these most of these guys, we haven't got them in our teams. Like if we talk now, how many Liverpool in your team, Adam?
One.
Virgil,
Yeah.
Virgil in mine, Luke in yours.
Yeah, just Virgil,
Virgil. Um, and then City, just Haaland.
Yep.
just Ireland.
Darland.
I love the fact that you've just said that, despite the fact that you own Reinders. You've just dismissed him even as,
He's
as a
gone.
person.
Like he doesn't exist. He's been third on my bench for about 2 weeks.
Doesn't even exist. So this is that part, isn't it, of where it turns out like if you knew the info, would you stick or twist? Because that's how I feel a little bit about this week in a free hit week, where it's like I like my team. I deliberately have tried to put players in that I like and are good picks and all sorts of stuff. So the idea of taking them out feels crappy. But you're like, do you go after Liverpool? Do you go after Man City? You've always been a fixtures man. Fixtures brings form, all of that business type space.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on the free hit for this week?
Yeah, I'm not on free hit myself, but I am. I mean, I'm jealous. I mean, usually the free hit goes really badly for me. I don't know
Hmm.
whether that's a thing, but I'm always on the wrong side of it, as in the 34-29. Even this year, I free hit in six because I was on a Salah team. So
Hmm.
switched to Haaland in six. That part worked because Haaland, I think, scored a brace and Salah didn't do anything. But it was also the week that Spurs managed to get 1 point versus Wolves and triple Spurs did nothing. And virtually everyone else was just terrible. So the free hit itself didn't score that well. So I have bad experiences with free hit overall. But I think, yeah, I mean, if it was me picking it, it's easy to say when you're not doing it, but I like the idea of being adventurous generally. I mean, on my free hit, I picked Doku and Michael Keane, which is Adam's favourite as well, who did me. They were the only two players that actually returned outside Haaland. But it's almost like you don't have to do it right because you've got the overall player base that most people won't be on a free hit that have probably
Hmm.
got pretty decent teams, but a lot of the free hit teams will have players that they don't have, right? I mean, probably out of the 11, you might have like nine of them that are different to everyone else, maybe. Like it's as high as
Hmm.
that this week, I think. But then there's this extra part of us where we're in this little engaged bubble, aren't we? With like Twitter, other content creators, people in your mini leagues. And it's like, do I really want the same team as them? Because ultimately, if we all look at the free hits across the board, they're all going to be very, very similar. There's just
Really
obvious
similar.
picks, right? They're always obvious picks. There's nothing you can do to change that. I reckon if you locked all you guys in a cupboard and you didn't see any other teams or getting
Hmm.
involved, you'd come out largely with the same teams. So there's always part of me that wants to go, no, do you know what? I want to be different to them as well because I want to put myself in a position where I could have a fantastic week against the people I care about. And you don't
Hmm.
have to do that at all, but that's just how I always feel. And I feel like Adam kind of wants to do that most of the time as well.
Like every week. Yeah,
Anyway.
I feel like that every week, mate. Yeah, and almost that's kind of why I asked about Doku this week, and not just for me, I guess for everybody as well, because Foden was very much. It felt like, well, I said to Baker, like, don't pretend that Foden's not going to be in your team come Saturday morning because he probably will be, and Doku seems like a fun pick, and I spent some time yesterday chatting with three guys on the Thinking Cap FPL, which is Benji, FPL Cayman, and FPL Stark, and Doku came up quite a lot, and that was when it sort of triggered me to send you a message, and it
Hmm.
did make me wonder, especially with the 5 free transfers coming up right in front of us. And I've said this before, if you want to attack a couple of players, then you've got the ability to abort that plan in 3 weeks' time. And you can just say, okay, I tried this for 3 weeks, it didn't work. Then I'll just go to where I need to go next for the next 10, 12 weeks before I think about a wild card. Because on top of this 5, we've obviously got a wild card coming up in that's available in the next 7 weeks, right? So if that goes tits up, then you can just hit your wild card and go again. So I was wondering about whether to do that, because what you could also do is you could literally just skyrocket to the moon and then say, well, I've just ridden the best wave ever, and now I've got these transfers. Do I want to pivot back or do I want to try something else? And so I think there's like real opportunity in the next few weeks, and the fixtures for the City and Liverpool guys are good. They're good. The problem is Liverpool are terrible right now, and it's really hard to see how that's going to change. Like I thought that like this, I thought they'd at least get some kind of response from the guys against PSV, but to lose that in the way they did there, I mean, confidence just must be an all-time low there, and it's just an absolute nightmare, I'd imagine. I don't feel hugely confident about anything this weekend.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, it's got to the point people are like, well, triple West Ham seems like a good plan on free hit. Like, that's, I don't think anyone would even have mentioned West Ham if Liverpool weren't going through such a rough patch.
It is difficult with Liverpool because it's a rough patch. It's almost it's quite unpredictable lineups, albeit, if, for example, Verts and Ekatike got knocked, in back. I don't know if did you see the slot comments about that? Like it was, he did make it sound like it was going to be not good. Basically, he talked about the fact that he suddenly noticed that Ekatike couldn't press like he was, and turned out he knock on the back, so he had to take him straight off. And you were like, that that, the more you remove, the more you go. Well, Gakpo and Salah. There you go. There's your easy guys in terms of people that you could put in there. But then there was news today that Verts potentially still could make the weekend, and then suddenly you're like, oh God, where does that move people? Even people look at Sober's and you're like, well, actually, but if Verts comes back, what do they do? What if they put him in the 10 and put Sobers back right back? It's just so it's you're betting on a team that you don't really know exactly how it's going to line up. You don't exactly know where you're going to be situation with minutes, and you're also they're not winning.
Yeah.
So it feels like, I would say for me from a free hit perspective, it's like you could look stupid.
Is there any need to, isn't it? That's the thing, isn't it? You just may be exposing yourself to the risk.
Yeah.
And is the risk worth it? And I feel it's like, even with the City picks or other players, we often fall into this trap where, like I said, I do want to be different and pick different players, but at the same time, the players that we pick are good players for a reason. It's the whole roots to points thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
We all play in that way these days, so much more so than even back in the day. Like back in the day, you might have Leighton Baines because he took free kicks, but it's gone to like an extreme level where, like, if you've got a player in your team that isn't on set pieces, isn't on penalties, doesn't play 90 minutes every week, he's probably not a great pick. And then
No.
suddenly on a free hit, you might load 11 of them that aren't on any of those things or
Well,
close to them
it's
because
if
they've
you
got a
think
good
about
game.
it, what we put in our teams are defenders that are either prime, basically the headers of the ball, or in one way or another the headers of the ball, aren't they? They could head the set pieces in, but they definitely get the clearances and get the def cons as well. And then you're like, okay, who are you going to put on defense in free hit? Or what are you going to do? You're going to pick all the guys that are attacking that are definitely not going to get def con. Perfect. So you're ruling out the thing that's been quite fundamental in terms of how we've picked our defenders so far this year. Then you're going to go, okay, then attackers, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do double ups, treble ups, in attack, which means that, you definitely are reducing the number of penalty takers in your team. You're probably reducing the number of set piece takers in your team because you're looking for the scorers necessarily rather than that all-round guy. And you're definitely not getting DEFCON from any of your front line.
You're
So
also limiting your bonus potential, aren't you, really?
You're
Because only a
limiting your
certain
bonus
amount can get
potential.
it. Mm.
Yeah. So I think I'm currently looking at like just using 4 teams. And you're like, well, that seriously limits the amount of bonus that you can get. You know what I mean? Is if you're doing 3 lots of 3 in a pair, then it does limit you in that sense. It's weird. It's the weirdest feeling I think I've had from looking at a free hit team, but it was always going to be because we never would have free hit in this. It's not one we ever would have, would we? So therefore, it is almost then knowing the ability to say, what's the difference? And also, it's never going to be big on the predictive stuff either, is it? It's not going to be like a 20-point swing, is it? Or something like that, like on your predictions and stuff like that, because it's actually, you're going against 11 guys with really solid floors because of DEFCON, because of set pieces, because of all those different routes to points. And you're replacing them with guys that might be just not as good picks. But
Yeah, well, the points potential of your average player isn't extreme enough to cause that in a single game week. That's just it. You're playing generally 90 minutes against 90 minutes or close. And yeah, anyone who looks at any expected model sites will show that the disparity between even say Haaland and the worst picks isn't as much as you might instinctively think in your head, right?
yeah,
It might be something as simple as like 7 points to 2 or 3, like a 4 point difference. And we all know in reality the outcome is the only thing that matters. In an individual week, literally anything can happen, right?
yeah,
I mean, you could just auto select if that was such a thing that you could do now on a free hit team, and you've got a chance to do really well. So yeah, despite everything you say there, which I completely agree that it still feels right, doesn't it? And that's why people are going to do it. They're still going to target the fixtures because those 4 teams, and I think I know which ones they'll be off the top of my head, they are like some of the worst teams that we've seen. And it's just so hard not to fall into that again, isn't it? It's almost like,
of course
why are
it
we
is.
doing it? Why are we not? Why are we doing it otherwise? Do you know what I mean? How would you feel? Would you feel worse if, say, Saka goes off and does really well and you don't have him and you don't score as well, or would you feel worse that you didn't pick, the two players versus Wolves and then they win 3-0? Well, of course they were just going to win 3-0 and I didn't pick them. So maybe that's a factor for people, the mental side of it.
And you've got to play it. Like it's easy. Yeah, if you've already, like, you guys have both already played it, so you can't play it if you've already played it. You know what I mean? But at some point you've got to play it, and as these weeks progress, it's almost like intensifies, doesn't it? In terms of shit, fuck, I've got to play it now, or I'm not going to play it now. And actually, once you get 5 transfers again, like you're going to have a good team in those weeks.
Yeah, it's interesting, obviously, because obviously this is the first time, obviously, we've had the chips in the first half of the season. And so, like, it feels now that free hit is being used in a good week where the teams have started to sort of formulate as to where the best things are coming from. And we sort of learned where the best points are coming from DEFCON and stuff like that. So I guess it probably doesn't feel like it has as big of an impact as, say, when myself or Luke played it, when we were specifically targeting a specific player to make a specific play as part of a plan across 8 weeks or whatever. And so when we fully pivoted away from our teams to Salah, we were still trying to work out whether Palace defence were good. We were still trying to work out whether Liverpool attack was good. We were still trying to work out, like, Tottenham at that point was still actually okay and defence were good. And so there's a lot more information at this point. So maybe it just doesn't feel like it's as good. But I mean, if I was in the same boat as if I had my free hit now, I would be doing exactly the same thing. And I'd be looking to try and, find the end of that bell curve where the points can spike. And even if that means that I take a couple of guys with me that have the ability to, but probably will end up with 2 points or 3 points, I want to have the opportunity to get to 17 points, because we've seen defenders do it, right? We've seen defenders do it multiple times already this season. That they get if they can lock themselves in with some DEFCON, they don't have to be playing the best teams either to be able to do that. I mean, Gabriel's picked them up against West Ham, he's picked them up against Burnley, so it is possible. And then if they spike a goal or an assist at the same time, and they get a clean, it's like there's bonus heaven, DEFCON, 15, 17 pointer. And if you get 2 of those, like, it's just a dream. Like the fact the other 2 may not get a clean. I mean, like, if you were to tell me like that, if you were to tell me that City win to 0, O'Reilly gets a goal, gets some DEFCON, and let's say Brentford defender Nathan Collins, right, does the same, 17 pointer, do you think you'd give a shit if Villa concede a goal?
No,
because you've got 30 points from your other 2 guys. I think it's going to be fine, right? And so and the people that aren't on free hit aren't going to have either of that. Right, they'll have a Munoz and a Gabriel and a Van Dijk, and they might have a Timber or a Raya, and yes, they could get points, but like, I think I would still just be leaning into the big spike.
I think that's the thing is this is that season because of, and partially because of DEFCON, is where all of your other guys have got suddenly higher floors. You feel like you could sense more regret. Like Senesi's a key one, isn't it? Of those ones where you're like, well, he's away at Sunderland. It's a reasonable chance and he'll probably get his DEFCON. And you're like, I'm going to go against him at 60, 70% owned. And you're going to feel like, if I don't get the clean, if I don't get the spike, I'm probably just going to get done here. But you could also just get another 3-pointer from conceding 2 goals and still getting the DEFCON. And it's like, you probably just have to take the punt. I think I'm probably like 75-25.
The thing is, the players that have the high floor also actually have a high spike. That's the bit that people don't always acknowledge. Like Senesi could easily, and he's done it this season, be a 17-pointer.
Oh, yeah, he got an assist last week, didn't he?
I say easily. It's not easy, but you get what I'm saying. Because you have the low floor, you also kind of have the high ceiling as well. Like, because the defenders technically have probably got the highest ceiling of any position in the game. Because obviously they're not going to do it, but if they were to score a hat-trick, they're getting a bigger score than anyone else on the pitch can ever manage. So, yeah, it's interesting. I do think that I do think fun plays a factor here. Like, we are playing this game for 38 weeks. The pressure to be optimal all the time and pick the sensible picks is always on, especially for like you guys who are doing regular content and stuff, and people will say like, "Oh, do you really care?" But ultimately, it does bring viewership and it does bring people to the channel, and it's something you guys want to engage in. So it's not just you; it's just everyone else. Like everyone has that pressure to try and perform well, and if you're not doing well, it's not a great position to be in, isn't it? Even if it doesn't, even if you're not considering the viewers, turning up every week when you're at 5 million rank and talking is hard work. So
Yeah.
for 1 week, but pretty much for 1 or 2 weeks of the season, you get the chance to go, do you know what? Just do what you want to do. And we've already said like any individual week, you can go back and look at the team of the week for every week up to this point, and there'll be players in there that you'll have never ever guessed.
Never ever.
So I think we build it up too much in our mind, and ultimately you can just have a bit of fun. Like, it doesn't mean you go crazy and you get like, I don't know, I was about to say a defensive midfielder, but they're pretty damn good this season. But yeah, you can. I think you can. You know, if you're on the fence, you can sacrifice 1 or 2 points in expected points because they're only expected ultimately for some risk engagement. And I think that you're not going to get many other opportunities to do that. Well, certainly maybe not you, Baker. Maybe Adam will, but you know, most of the time you're probably going to pick the more safe option, aren't you? And this is
I
your
understand
1 week
what
where you
you're
can
saying.
go crazy.
I'm dull. I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say.
Should we look at the games?
We can do. We've got a super chat. Let's cover that first. It is a question from El Chivers who says they need a Gabriel replacement until 19. They have a wild card, which looks like they're planning to play in 18, 19, and free hit plan for 16. Is that still going to be Virgil van Dijk due to fixtures, or would you go City, O'Reilly, Nunez, Gvardiol? Already got Munoz and Raya.
Well, we'll ask you the City question because what do you think you get out of O'Reilly over the next week with these 3 games in a week?
Well, going on the way 8 performed, was it last night?
Mm,
It's looking pretty damn good. He was
yeah,
shocking. Um, yeah, it's the same answer for Pep, isn't it? In City, in the sense that right now he's clearly first choice,
yeah,
and he's performing to the higher level. The fact that they have to call for him because Eight Nori was that bad, well, the team in general was that bad, says a lot. He's young, he's capable to play the minutes. I think he's going to play probably all the games. I think the thing with Pep that you can never rule out, and that's why I never ever want to commit to it, is we've seen it many, many times. You guys will have seen it over the last 2 or 3 years. If the team doesn't perform well or he has a head loss moment, he will bin anyone, including
mm,
Sergio Aguero, Carl Walker. Remember when Rico Lewis burst onto the scene and just started playing like 5 or 6 games and he was the greatest player, but then he was binned off for months? Like,
yeah,
it can happen. So I'll never sit here and say he'll absolutely play because in fact, against Newcastle, he actually came under a little bit of scrutiny for the goal. Do you see Pep had to come out and say, no, Nico O'Reilly was great. He was great. So that's the kind of thing that's always bubbling in the background. I would say that Nico O'Reilly is probably going to play all the games, is the truth. And I know there's options to, like, you can bring Ake in, you could put Gvardiol at left back, even Rico Lewis could play left back. But the way the team's had a couple of iffy results recently, I just feel like Nico he's going to
yeah,
play basically, and
I think what
he is a good pick.
plays in his favour as well is obviously ain't Nori going to AFCON. He's going to want to be fit, right? He's not going to want to aggravate any kind of reoccurrence of this injury. And what that might mean is it might mean O'Reilly plays 75 minutes and then comes off. And then is that okay? Is that enough? And that's probably okay. I mean, we maybe haven't seen it recently so much, but Pep teams of the past as well, you get 2-3, 4-0 up, and we all had Edison for these, right? These 91st minute and 88th minute living conceding goals. Like, it could be one of those where he comes off early and banks are clean where others don't. I mean, Donnarumma's a better keeper, but with how attacking O'Reilly is, and as you say, like, he's been absolutely fantastic. I think he's a really good pickup for the next few weeks.
I think it would have to go. Albeit, I don't own Timber, and I'm not tripping up on Arsenal, and I am watching those last 2 games. And obviously, he missed a sitter against us. Then he scores, last night.
Back at the
Very good
back at
header.
the front post as well.
Back at the front post, exactly where we look for him. And I'm like, Jesus Christ. Like he's just gonna.
I was about to say the same thing. I think Nico O'Reilly is a good pick, but at the same time, you are still picking a fullback in an era where there are lots of other good picks that I really like at 4.5 and 5 and all around there. So he's definitely a good pick, but is he still in the top 5, 6 defenders in the game? He's there or thereabouts, isn't he? There are other options, I think.
I mean, he's
Yeah,
just absolutely nowhere for DEFCON, so I wouldn't even like his floor.
No.
Yeah.
His floor in that sense is slightly lower, or at least it's not a contributor to
Yeah.
his expected points or anything like that.
It does help him for the 70-minute subs, though, Adam. Like you say, if he is going to come off, you're not really worried because he's probably not in the frame for DEFCONs anyway.
Yeah.
I think, Timber, if you've got the money, you sit next to your Gabriel, Timber and O'Reilly. And hey, if you're in such a good position, which it sounds like you are with free hit and wild card, I wouldn't even mind just going O'Reilly this week and then just doing the transfer again next week onto Timber.
Yeah,
Don't
because eight
mind it.
Laurie was so bad last night.
We got to use
night
them
before.
over these next 3 games. So there might not be like I'm sitting here. If I free hit this weekend, I've got like 1.7 million in the bank. Yeah, and there's obviously manu guys I can get and all that stuff. But I'm like, I'm not sure there's like you said about the ceiling on some of these guys. Then actually they've won the floor so good because of how good they are with cleans. But he's a 15 pointer any week, Timber. If he's the prime person receiving set plays from Rice and Saka, who are so good with their delivery, you're like, shitting hell. I am scared about that next week.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Let's move it on. Let's move it on. So, yeah, if you do like the video that we're doing, if you like the content that we put out, then please do drop a like on the video. If you want to see more from us, then obviously subscribe. You can follow Luke at this_FPL. And you know where myself and Baker are as always. Shout out as always to Crypto Block Dan, who supports the podcast. If you are crypto curious, if you need any advice around the blockchain or anything like that, then you can head over to hubble.social/Dan Hybel and you can grab some time with Dan. As much time as you want, as much time as you need. He is a bona fide expert in this field and has been so for quite a while. Been in the crypto space since around 2012. And he's just an all-round nice guy. I don't actually say that when I do this, but he's just an all-round nice guy, and he's just happy to talk to you as well. So, yeah, shout out to Dan, hubble.social/Dan Hybel. And if you want to come and join us over on Patreon in the Discord, patreon.com/AboveAverageFPL. If you're watching on YouTube, there is a QR code on the screen for those that like to watch it on the big TV. And from now until the end of the year, you can get 25% off your first month or your first year using the code Christmas25, XMAS25. There's already 25% off the annual anyway. So if you add another 25%, that gives you 37.5% off. It's an absolute bargain. People will tell you in the chat if you want to come and join the Discord. It is great fun in there. Last man standing games, FPL Blackjack, beat Baker. There's an opportunity. Baker's trying to limit the amount of people that's in this draw by taking his free hit on this week. And there's over 100 people, I think, at the moment that are still in the draw right now. So there is an opportunity if you're having a relatively good month to jump into the Discord this month and have the chance of winning a bottle of our Never Say Die whiskey, bourbon whiskey, and fantastic support from those guys as well. So shout out to Never Say Die. This offer is available until literally 23:59, right before midnight on the 31st December, and can be used for new existing Patreon members, whether you're free or paid or whatever. So yeah, join the Patreon if you want. Come and join us. It's busy over Christmas. There'll be lots of fun in there, I'm sure. The games, gents. The games. So focus is normally on 2 or more projected goals and a greater than a 40% chance of a clean sheet. As always, the data comes from Rob T. His work with Solio. Over 2 come from City and Liverpool. That's it. And over 40% clean comes from City, Villa, and Brentford. That's it. Good week to free hit.
That's the thing, innit?
But like we said, no one really owns the players from those teams, really. So it is a fun week to free hit.
It is a fun week to free hit. Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Our usual conversation we like to start when we look at the games is, can you take on Haaland this week? Hey, people moan if you don't have enough conversation about taking on Haaland. So, better have that convo. Anyone taking on Haaland this week?
I hadn't even thought about what the other options are, so I don't know if I can add anything to that.
Nah.
I'm going to be one of a few people actually gaining on by having Haaland this week, because I think he'll be over 200.
Have you both got triple cap?
Yeah.
You playing it, Luke?
I probably am. It just feels like it's too much of a gift, but like I've already said, I don't like it when everything feels obvious and everyone else is doing it. So I don't know if part of me mentally has like got a pushback where I'm just like, I don't want to do it because everyone else is doing it. But it feels like it couldn't have been laid more beautifully in our laps. And it will almost be like one of those ones where if I don't do it and then he goes massive afterwards, I'm just going to sit here and think, what am I doing? Or like, what am I doing with myself? I know there are other opportunities. You know, they've got Sunderland, West Ham, I think are good options for him, particularly. And there are other players, right? If you wanted to, you can do Bruno Fernandes versus Wolves, I think it is, or Saka, I think's got a good game as well coming up. But the way we've got the news today as well with the midfielders out, and I know we always seem to over egg this. There's been so many times I can think of when a team has turned up and you're like, this team is decimated. Like all their players are out. They are going to get absolutely destroyed. And it just rarely ever seems to actually go like that. They actually seem to manage to put out a performance with like some kid in goal or some random. But again, these are just, you remember the bad experiences, right? On paper, the cold hard facts, as we've got them right in front there from Rob T, is that Man City are going to score between 2 and 3 goals on average. Leeds look like they're in a bad place at the moment. Like we know that right now Haaland is fit. It looks very likely that he'll get 90. Not that he might not get 90 later, but you can be pretty sure of it this week, I would suggest. So what is it? You know, we don't control the outcome. It just makes sense. So I'll probably end up doing it.
Yeah, those projections might change actually over the next 2 days as well, might they? They're almost certainly. So if anyone didn't see it, so Stack is out, and Longstaff. I think Longstaff's a big miss for him. So that likely means Ampadu, Tanaka, and possibly Gruev. I think has played like he's been a couple of substitute appearances, but it don't sound great.
Is there not a case for like, you know, sometimes try to make the argument, someone like Late Riser might make it where as a result of not having the normal midfield that they'll have, they will actually sit in more of a bus and people don't like
Stodge it even more.
They will try to make the game even tougher to break down than they might actually turn up and play a little bit. But I don't know, I can't see it. But is there a case of that at all?
Interestingly, like as soon as that comes out, I'm like, and you know, you boys had the chat on Twitter earlier. Is this a Doku game? I was like, maybe I should be doing Foden, Doku, and Haaland as my free. And then you're like, yeah, I think they will just sit in even more type stuff. And then I'm like, why would I just not have O'Reilly? Like that feels like a gift almost, O'Reilly this week. That is.
Well, the thing with the left back position, and O'Reilly's done it, Gvardiol's done it, Aiton already did it briefly as well when he was in the team, is like if the opposing team does sit back in that way like we expect, like you almost need those extra runners to break from different positions.
Yeah.
And that's normally the position they break from, and it's the position you can't really stop it happening. You know, even if back in the day when they were rolling with a 3 centre back setup and they had the roaming left back that would move into, even the sort of, say the Gvardiol was the left sitting centre back, even he would step it up as well because they'd obviously create that extra man. That's usually when City are in their dominant phase and they're playing really well, which at the moment you probably say after the back of the last couple of results they're not. But the fixture just looks like it's set up for that kind of situation, right? Where Leeds will be sitting deep. I mean, they almost carry no attacking threat to speak of, really. Maybe that's harsh, but
I absolutely know that if I bring in O'Reilly, that Cavalier scoring. Like there's nothing more nailed on than Cavalier scoring.
Probably. But my point was that I think you were agreeing that I think that O'Reilly is an extra attacking outlet in a game like this potentially. You know, not he's obviously not going to get the numbers that an attacker's going to get, but he'll get a couple of opportunities. You would have thought
he could get those. Probably 15 pointer, not a 17, but possibly 15.
No DEFCON. I mean, we saw what happened last week when a team tried to, completely just sit in and do absolutely nothing with the game in Tottenham last week. And you know, there always will be opportunities, and maybe that makes Foden a better pick because he works better in tight spaces, and so that might just make Foden a really, really good pick. But I sit in there, the 2 midfielders being out, and I sit there and think, like, how deep were they going to be anyway? To be honest, because, and it's not like City normally come up against teams that dominate them at the Etihad. Like, very often teams will just sit in against them at the Etihad, and I think you just have to look at the number of goals they score at home, and I don't think it's a concern for me at all. And any opportunity to fast on a fast break, if they get an opportunity, like it almost feels there will be a chance at the end of it.
we saw last week though, as Spurs fans, when you play Bentancur and Paulinho, for example, you've got nobody that can progress the ball, and you've got that sit in, they just ramp it on you. And Longstaff's more than just a sitter. Like he's proper good Longstaff. Like, and actually has been really good there as more of that box to box, as more like can play progressive in a way. You look at it and you say Gruev and Ampadu, and like yes, like I like Tanaka. I think he's a busy guy, but it's like Ranger pass not there for me compared to that, and I'm just like I just can't see him getting out.
Yeah, it's interesting because Man City's possession numbers are down overall, aren't they? And I think that is a bit of a style choice, but also
Mm.
not having Rodri is an impact. I mean, Rodri in these kind of games is literally like unbelievable, right? In fact, he ends
Yeah,
up being
yeah,
the guy that usually breaks the deadlock with a screamer as a result of being pushed so
yeah.
high up. And as good as Gonzalez has been, he's nowhere near Rodri, in my opinion. And I don't. They're going to have more possession, but are they going to have the point where they're camped and Leeds completely camped in? Maybe. But the other thing as well with Foden, it's like you said about in the tight spaces. He is good in the tight spaces, but this year he's obviously been coming a lot deeper to get the ball. And I think he's probably his only goals, and maybe I've made that up, were versus Dortmund. I don't know if he scored any other goals that I can remember, but he scored those two, the classic Foden goals, where he's almost received the ball on the half turn in like sort of the D of the penalty area, and then just hit a long range shot, or
Yeah.
semi long range shot, and it's gone in. And he obviously played the same position in that game, but I just find it funny that it's the Champions League game where it happens, where I just don't think even as good as Dortmund compared to Leeds, you say Dortmund are better, but they play in a different way. The Premier League is so hard to find that space in that area, and the Champions League, I feel like you get that space more often.
Mm.
So, like, if they are going to sit in and be stodgy, he's good in the tight spaces. But if you've got those three almost defensive midfielders, that's kind of the area that you're asking Foden to break into. So
Yeah.
I don't know. He's obviously a good pick, but I feel like I kind of prefer Doku. I
If you
did
had
on
to
my
go
free hit
one
before.
of the two of them, you go Doku.
I probably would. I think Foden is definitely safer, right? Because he takes set pieces as well, a little bit of set pieces. He's almost certain to get 90. Whereas Doku, thing with Doku is if he's absolutely terrible, then Pep will change it. And even if he's not terrible, if he's really good and he gets to 70 minutes, that's the position he looks at. So you've got a chance where he gets subbed off. But
Mm.
going back to my theory of it's only 1 week, no one's really. I don't know what the ownership is actually between Doku and Foden in the main game, but I'd imagine between the competitive people that want to compete
Yeah,
against,
yeah,
most people will go Foden because it's safer. I think in 1 week I actually prefer Doku, and I did that on my free hit, and it worked out there. Foden got one, I think Doku got 10 or 11, but obviously doesn't mean it's going to happen again. But
yeah. Mm-mm.
I mean, Pep has talked this season specifically about Doku in these kind of games, and he just gives them something extra, right? You can do all you can to try and stop Man City scoring, but when Doku is on it, he's near impossible to stop, and he just causes mayhem. Doesn't mean that he's going to be the result who gets the points, right? He can create that for someone else, but I just think it's quite fun having the player that's the whole crowd's going to be looking to unlock the game.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, alongside
Um,
Cherky, I should say as well.
well, let's talk about him. Would you have any interest in him over Foden or Doku?
Again, with him, I definitely would because I feel like his numbers are even better than Doku and Foden in the small sample, and they were obviously from a different league, so it's hard how much you can
Mm.
take from that. But with him, it's like yes, I'm happy to accept that maybe Doku gets 70 minutes, but with Cherky, his minutes have been even less, and he hasn't actually been. He's been very good in some games, but he's also been quite bad in some games, and Pep's almost sacrificed him. And I feel like the first place he'd make a sub if things weren't going right would be there. So
Yeah,
that carries that almost extra level of risk. That's almost like the Adam level, where it's like, Adam, you might want to do it. Then there's the other people who might go Doku, and then there's most people who will end up picking Foden. So I think he is still an option, but it's just the riskiest one.
I think that's City pretty well covered.
City pretty well covered.
Yeah, sorry if I've kept talking.
No,
no.
that's all good. That's all good. That's all good. So I guess people who aren't on a free hit are likely going to have a combination of Palace and United players. So whether that be Bruno, Cunha, Bumo, some with Delict as well, and then Mateta, Sarr, Munoz, Richards, Gahey, some.
Well, how would anyone feel about Mateta to Thiago as a move this week? So for reference, we're 70 minutes in on the Strasbourg game. Mateta's come off on 62. First man up. Well, not first man up actually, because Richard's come off a gay here at the time. But Mateta's come off on 60. He's obviously come off on 59 last week.
Yeah, I'm actually quite open to it. I think. I think that most people are probably going to do it anyway in 16 because we get all the extra transfers in 16, don't we? And Mateta's playing Man City that week.
Mm.
Their fixtures then afterwards, they are like Leeds, Spurs, Fulham, like they're okay, but it's another opportunity to where you can kind of take money out of the forwards. I think Brentford's fixtures go really well at that point, and then you've got the likes of Palmer back and stuff, and you might want to spend some more money. So I feel like it'll be quite popular there. Also, like you've just said, the minutes seem to be declining. He come off with he almost had a knee complaint, didn't he, for France?
Yeah.
Come off early this week, come off early again. It's just that Burnley game in 14, isn't it? That's the one that you're like, oh.
But that just feels like a really good game for him to take a rest. You just start.
Does he ever rest him though?
But it's not against bloody Strasbourg. Do you know what I mean?
No, but this is European football, right? This is different. This is different. Like Palace, European football, first time in Europe. Like Glasner can't approach this competition and go, oh, you know what? I'm just going to focus on United at the weekend. He can't. Like no one will ever forgive him for that. So he's got to play his best, what he thinks is his best players. And if he rotates one centre back out when they've got, some really, really competent centre backs at the moment, and like 4 of them, so he can move them around, then great. But when he's got his main man up top, he really needs to protect him over these weeks, because he's already basically flogged him as much as possible over the first 10, 12 weeks.
At best, it's probably what's happened tonight, often 62.
That just feels terrible. I'm gonna have to have that, but maybe he does play. See, this is why I think Burnley is such a good rest week for him, because maybe he can play 90 this week against United, and then he gets a week off.
If he can play 90, but we don't even know if he can play. Like it's 1-1 this game at Strasbourg. Like nobody else is you've got a planned one at Richards, and at half-time subs I don't really count them because they give you an extra sub, don't they, effectively? Not an extra in the total of the 5, but you still get 3 instances of which you can use subs if you take one at half-time. So that's a nailed-on planned one. But when your striker comes off at 1-0 62 minutes, I'm like, ooh.
I feel like he gives us the blueprint though, Glasner. He generally just plays the same 11. I know he's rotated the odd occasional person in Europe, but what you're saying there about the 60-minute sub and then Nketiah, I feel like that's the most likely scenario. Yes, you might have it for Burnley where you get Nketiah for 60, but then Mateta will come on for 30. Maybe you have a switch around there. But otherwise, that would be out there for him, but it's potential. That's as much as I can see, which is annoying because then you're getting a player coming on for 30 minutes, right? Which I know, obviously he could score versus Burnley. It's Burnley, but it's not ideal. And the pattern, the trend of the minutes is going down, and it's coincided with him being a bit flagged and having an injury and Nketiah coming back. And we did see last season that used to happen quite a bit as well. Maybe not quite as early, but there was a few 60-minute subs, and then it ended up being around the 70th minute.
Yeah.
So I feel like we've got the history to know that Mateta's minutes are now quite severely impacted.
Yeah, and he clearly he rates Nketiah higher this year than he did last year. It just felt like he didn't want to trust him for any more than about 5-6 minutes last year, whereas it feels like he's quite happy to play him for half hour. I don't dislike it. Taking what's in front of you, which is the Thiago at home to Burnley this week.
How do you rate his chances? I know it's obvious and everyone will have him. But he's been kind of strange this year, hasn't he, Thiago? I'll say this year is the only year we've had him. In the sense that he just seems to get the penalties and not do much else. And then it's like, okay, this is a game where you'd expect Brentford to be on the front foot. They'll be creating chances. Like, is Thiago that kind of player, or is he just seems to be the guy who gets penalties versus Arsenal or whatever it is?
It's just that Man United game, innit? If you take out the Man United game, a lot of the other stuff looks like very little is going on. But when you then look at like their total number of big chances they've achieved, as Brentford have done, it's like, well, half of them go to him. Obviously penalties equals big chances and all that stuff helps, but he is playing Burnley. Like it's good. Well, you do have to look at, then you've got obviously Arsenal away, Tottenham away in 14-15, and do you do something there? Yeah, so look, I don't think you ever need to necessarily bench someone against Tottenham, especially away, because we're rubbish at home. But that Arsenal one, you probably do want to look around and say, well, what can you do? But I look at it and say, most people have got Senesi, so you're going to play him. Most people have got an Arsenal defender, so they're going to play them. If you've got Van Dijk, you're going to play him home to Sunderland. Palace have got Burnley, so if you've got a Palace defender, which most people are going to play him, like there's a lot of guys in which you can play in 14 that I'm like, I could bury him.
Yeah, I think that's what people will do. They'll probably just bench him and play one of the DEFCON defenders. Or, I mean, if you have to play him, it's not the end of the world, is it? You probably get into, but you got a guy on penalties. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's 1 week.
And a lot of people are still like Adam's got, obviously you've got 8 attackers, haven't you? It's not, it's different for you as well. So you can still play 7 attackers. Do you know what I mean? Is a lot of people have got Haaland, Mateta, and Thiago. So therefore is you've got those guys, which makes it even easier to bury him.
Yep.
So, but I think that is a specific move if you're looking at it and saying, well, what do I need to do? By the way, Strasbourg have just scored again, so they're now 2-1 up. So Ismail Assar and Munoz are getting no rest at all.
I'm surprised Sarah hasn't scored a brace yet.
That's the thing. This Palace Man United game is interesting, isn't it? Because I've got triple Palace. On free hit, I'm like, I'm going to take out my triple Palace. Don't hugely trust the fact that they've played Thursday night. They're playing lots of minutes. I don't trust a lot of stuff actually. As soon as Mateta's not fit, because I do think it is quite a step down having Nketiah from Mateta. But then I'm like, but I'm also taking up Man United guy, and somebody's got to. I don't see this game finishing 0-0, and even if it does finish 0-0, I've got players defenders. So this does feel like one where if you free hit, you'll definitely lose in this game, but you're not exactly sure where you're losing from.
You see, I think that game's just hard to call all round. And
Yeah.
I know what you're saying, but it's almost a game that if you're not on free hit, like me and Adam are, it's like I've got Bruno Fernandes. I think you have as well, haven't you, Adam? You've got
do.
Bruno Fernandes, haven't you?
Yep.
Yeah, and then like you say, you've got Palace players. You don't really know what you want from the game.
You just got to play them all. You just got to play them all and hope one of them spikes.
Yeah, but I don't really like that scenario. So I feel like that's actually useful to get out of that for the free hit. I feel like that's one of the games you can kind of avoid because it is quite hard to call.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely got to get out of it.
We've got to talk about Liverpool picks.
Have we?
I mean, well, you tell me. You're on free hit. How many Liverpool players are in your current draft free hit?
Well, I did a draft the other day with double Liverpool defence, and that's firmly
in the bin.
Partially by my own stupidity, is because I did a draft. I meant to do Semenyo to Rodgers on Tuesday night, which would have almost probably just cemented me in to do the free hit. And I'm pretty sure I did the move on FPL team and not on FPL. Because I checked my team the next day.
You're
and I
getting
was
old,
like,
mate.
I checked the team the next day and I was like, well, have I still got Semenyo? I've definitely binned him. Either I dreamt it or I did it on FPL team. It's one of the two. I'm blaming Pete. I'm blaming old Pete for FPL team. That he done me there because that move did not go through. But then I actually ran out of money, so I couldn't do it if I wanted to. So I'm avoiding him. I'm avoiding the defenders completely. I watched the day. I can't do it. I can't do it.
What about Gakpo though and Salah? Because they're the ones that people are probably going to have on free
Yeah,
hit, right?
yeah.
Or in the combo.
Look, providing the minutes are good. I think what people might not have noticed is even if they're not scoring as such, they created last night. I mean, they these last two games, they've created a crap load of chances.
Yeah.
An absurd amount of stuff. But they took the corners from both sides last night, Salah and Gakpo. Created 9 chances between them in the game last night. Routes to points, they now have extra points. They do at least have set pieces. You've got penalties, you've got corners, and they can score. And it is still against West Ham. So it's just a shame. Kilman last week should have been sent off if that had happened. That would have been big. That would have been really big. Um, but yeah, I, I'm quite happy to lean into Gakpo and Salah unless there's something Saturday that suggests Mr. Gakpo is falling out of favour.
Yeah, I think we're okay there, right? I don't think, given the way Liverpool's results have been going recently and how they're playing, and I'm no Liverpool expert by any means, why would you play a potentially not fully fit Wirtz or someone just coming back? Like, I don't feel like you do that. You
No.
just play the guy who's fit and firing. And the same with Ekatike. I know he's been better than Isak, but there's been comments recently about him wanting to play Isak into form. And Ekatike has just come off the back of an injury where he's now touch and go for the weekend. Just seems a bit silly to me to play players that are touch and go. And then also you could lose them, right? We're in the busy
Yeah,
period. So why would you do that? So I feel like the lineup is probably just going to be Isak, Gakpo, Salah. I know the fans are saying they
I think
want
it probably
Salah
will.
dropped.
Yeah,
Yes. So then
absolutely.
we're back to that scenario where do you feel stupid for not picking three Liverpool players versus West Ham? Like, forget this season and what's gone on so far. If I said that to you any other season or any other time in fantasy history, you'd probably say, yeah, I've probably been a bit stupid. And it can change.
I fully do. But I do look at this and say, do I want a second Man City attacker? Yes. Do I want Thiago? Definitely. Do I want Rodgers? Definitely. Is those are absolutely nailed in for me. And then I'm like, do I want a little bit more of Brentford attack in Sharda? Yeah, I do. And would I have Sharda over, say, Soberslai? Because Isak, you can't get to him. Not without ripping up a load of other stuff.
No, I wouldn't touch Isak because anyway, he could have his minutes reduced anyway and manage, couldn't he? I just
You got
think
to
it's,
start. You can do it, and there will be people that do it. There'll be people that do Isak, Marlon,
yeah, probably.
and Doku, and can probably get that. So if you were thinking, like you said, of how would you dial up the risk and have necessarily ones that are even more ridiculously low owned, yeah, if you did a Marlon, Doku, and Isak, you can probably get there, but you'd then have to do it as a free, wouldn't you?
You still need
Um,
Sharda. You'd still need Sharda probably in there to make it work.
yeah, Charlotte and Rogers, you're not definitely getting both of
You're
those.
not
You
getting
move it.
Rodgers.
But you could Charlotte goes down to Dango. There are ways you can just keep. I'm going to keep pulling money out of these. But you're then saying, okay, well, I'm actually changing away like for the picks that I want to get Isak in, who I don't trust his minutes for anyway. Not for me.
Where do you guys stand on this though? Because I always struggle in the sense of like, and I've done this before where, like you said before, Baker, I'm a man who looks at the fixtures and the historical data, and it's like the Liverpool players are good, the West Ham players aren't as good, the fixtures good, they create in chances. Like I feel like they should just do well. But then you'll have people that are so certain on the other way. Like there's no way I'm having any Liverpool players. They are dreadful at the moment. I can't buy into it. If anything, I might get West Ham, like you said. I don't even know if
Yeah,
that's half in jest, but some people it might not be. I just find it so funny that some people could be so convinced that they're just bad and it's not going to happen. And it's like I almost want to like laugh at those people. At the same time, I can go back to like Man City last season where it just carried on and it carried on and it carried on. And there's times when it does happen. So it's just
yeah,
like I wish I knew the answer to these things, but I'll always side on the. I think it's better to. Maybe I'm wrong to just line on one side and just stick with it because when you go, oh, this time I'll trust that they will come back, and other times I won't. I just end up missing them if I do that. So I just want to be
yeah.
like blanket. I'll believe in the fixtures and the data, and that's what I'll go for. And hopefully I'll be up after all. But
I think the last fixture that is semi-interesting, I would say, is the Forest Brighton one because obviously we've got last season where Forest beat them 7-0 at home. Forest, I mean, something's going on. I mean, they've won 3-0 again tonight. I don't know if that's finished yet, but they're currently 3-0 up
still,
against Malmo with 2 minutes to go. And they managed to rest fair number of guys in that. Milenkovic scored. Like Milenkovic and Murillo, I was looking through sort of the DEFCON numbers. Anytime they come up against like a relatively tricky right winger, like Murillo just hammers it on the DEFCON. So Minter is going to come up against, is I would say almost you have got sort of semi certainty. I think with Murillo that he's going to probably potentially get that DEFCON. But it's quite. Even though it was a 7-0 last year and the Bright Forest won it, I still find that game incredibly hard to predict. Gibbs White missed out tonight, so suddenly I'm like, I liked him, but no, I can't do it.
Oh, I don't think.
Stay away from
I'm.
it.
Well, it's another game that's just hard to call, isn't it?
Mm.
I think Brighton are just generally a hard, like any fixture any week with Brighton. It feels like it's tricky to call because they can just be
Yeah.
terrible or really good or usually like just draw 1-1 or whatever. I can't remember which podcast it says the classic 1-1 Brighton seems to be like a
Mm.
result that happens all the time. Yeah, and as a result, you just feel
Mentor and
like, oh,
Welbeck can just do things, at any time, and
mm,
they, yeah, just very, very difficult.
It's not even them. I mean, they've just got a whole host of players that can produce something at some point. Like if you've got a player in a team that can score 4 goals in a game, like
Mm.
your your chances can come from anywhere, and you'd back whether it be someone like Kadioglu, you could back any one of the centre backs to get involved, you could back the Kuiper, you could, and then say any of the midfielders. Hinchelwood
Yeah.
pops up, he loves a goal. So, yeah, it's really difficult. And, with Forest playing today, I wouldn't like to go on either of those. They're just, I think any of these games where they are so close, I wouldn't want to touch. And I think that's true apart from one position where I think there is a potential spike in goal, but I think that's the only risk I would take outside of the 4.
Yeah. What for non-free hit chatters here? What do you do about Chelsea Arsenal this weekend?
well, I've got Enzo and I've got Saka, so I'm probably going to sell Enzo and just play Saka. I've also
Okay.
got Raya just because he's permanently in there, your favourite, Adam. So I'll probably just leave him and play. I'm not going to play Dubravka, so I'm hoping that Arsenal just win comfortably 1-0.
You got to play right now.
Got to play Raya, yeah.
Yeah, I've got Raya, I've got Enzo, but I've also got Michael Keane, so I might just park Enzo for a week and play Michael Keane over him because it feels like it could be a good game for Keane. I mean, like DEFCON wise, feels like it could be good as well. So, and Everton have been relatively good at home. Like the only team they've really come unstuck against at home is us, weirdly. But outside of that, they've been pretty solid at home. So maybe there is an opportunity there for me, at least.
I think, like I say, I think anyone that's got the Senesi, Michael Keanes, Tarkos, any of those guys, you're playing this week. You're playing this week if you got them.
So then that means for me, I mean, like we'll move to teams in a minute. But that would mean for me, I'm like probably rolling. Seems bizarre in a week where everyone's making all the transfers they can, albeit on free hit.
14 is interesting though. Like there's some really good fixtures in 14 and 15. So, and all it takes is an injury. Any injury happens this weekend, you're out for the next 2 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah, that is true.
And Enzo's been really good, particularly, hasn't he? He's got Leeds next week. So it feels like if you can get through this one, I don't know, he's still like a good hole. He's still around like 0.5 XGI or whatever, in like nearly every single game on penalties, some set pieces, depending on the pitch. He's just a good pick.
Those centre mids are not back for Chelsea in midweek as well. So for everyone that's looking at the Chelsea guys and saying get rid of them, those guys without those Leeds guys will still not be back for midweek either. So yeah, Enzo should be able to roll through that centre midfield.
The problem is we're kind of, because these 5 transfers are looming over us. And you'll see when you get to my team, and I think other people will be in a position. I've got like 3 free transfers, and it's like if I'm not taking out Enzo versus Arsenal, I don't know what I'm doing with them, and I will just almost have to throw them away at some point.
Yeah.
So it kind of forcing me into positions that I wouldn't normally have to take. And I think
But it also, but also, I mean, people have spoken about like free hit 15 as a potential option as well. I mean, it might give you the opportunity to use to sort of lean into that because most of the free hits will be gone this week. A bunch of free hits have already been played. And if there are players that people are getting in on free hit in 15 that you think you could have a 1 week punt on, if you do just need to use transfers, like that could be the opportunity. Yeah. I mean, I know you're not the kind of guy that will make a transfer for 1 week, generally speaking, but it might be a chance to do so.
Well, I might be forced to, like you say. Be forced to.
He played the full game last weekend. Hence he scored by the end of it. But as we just talked about with Mateta, it is similar with Enzo. If there was a game you were looking to give him a break in, it is midweek.
Yeah, true.
It is midweek. Let's do your teams, boys.
Let's do the teams. I can't believe we didn't speak about Roofs being the best keeper of the week, but there we go.
Would you really go Roofs on
I would
free
really
hit?
go Roofs, yeah. I would really go Roofs on a free hit.
Where
Because
do you get him from, though?
you're getting a particular. Well, I mean, Sunderland at home have been great. Like the only team that's really caused them massive problems at Arsenal, funnily enough. You're getting a team that takes a lot of shots. So, we know that he's I was looking at his numbers before the podcast did yesterday. His post shot sort of XG conceded stuff, like whatever that's called, is off the charts good. Like he's off the charts good. Like he was like +9 last year. He's like +2 already this year. He's got one of the highest save percentages in the league. He's faced one of the most shots as well. So like he's literally the reason why they are where they are in the league. So
that's a bit harsh on the rest of the team. Sunderland have just been good, but he's been fantastic for a new addition. Yeah. The thing that he will get the saves to an extent, but I say you. There's been 6 double digits from keepers this season. 4 of them were away from home, and the other 2 save penalties. Like is not one keeper's getting anywhere near that at home in those things. Bonuses have been absolutely decimated for keepers because of bloody set plays, meaning defenders are just doing extra defensive stuff. Hence, that's why the DEFCON's gone up, which also helps their bonus, but also they're scoring more. Like it's just been pain for keepers, full stop. And so I look at it and say, well, it is still a home keeper. You are still looking for this unicorn 10-pointer that hasn't happened.
It's free hit week.
I do kind of like that though. I feel like the last few years have been crazy for goalkeepers. You just never know. I just never get anything from my goalkeepers.
Yeah,
and it's just like it's so erratic, right? Like you say, you'd have like Martinez score like 200 points or get like 15 pointers away from home, or the Leicester keepers just suddenly became godly for like 6 weeks at one point. And it's just like, I think as fantasy managers, we want stuff that's predictable, right, and easy. And that's why I know you don't like him, but someone like Raya is like nice and comfortable. You can just sit him in there. Not that there's other options, of course, there's other options as well. But I just really don't like the fact that you could look at like a work mini leagues opponent and he's got some randomer in goal and he just hits like 15 points. I know all we've done is kind of move that to the centre backs now, but it's just nice to give goalkeepers a break because they do my head in.
Yeah. What are you doing then, Adam?
Well, my team.
Yeah.
Not very much at the moment. So I've got 1 free transfer and 0.7 million in the bank. And I might just roll with Raya in goal, Richards, Senesi, Virgil van Dijk, and Michael Keane, Bruno, Sarr, and Saka, and then Mateta, Thiago, and Haaland triple captain. So triple captain is on for me. It's the best fixture for him. He's fit. He was rested. He's chasing a record. So, I just feel like it's going to be a perfect game for him. Now, this probably changes if we get something. Like, I don't know how much we'll get. Like, if we got something that said Reinders was starting pre-deadline, I would play Reinders over Michael Keane. But that's the only thing I would probably change here. Because if he's not starting, I don't care about him at all. He can just sit third on my bench, fine. But I think it's not going to be a great week for me. Maybe subconsciously I'm using triple captaincy to try and deflect some of the impact of free hit. I don't know. Maybe I am, maybe I'm not. But it's still just a great week to do it. And while he's fit, 2.5 XG, he's projected to have something like 40% of the share of the XG, or that's what the projection is. Like he's actually getting almost 60% of the share of the goals.
You say your team's not great there, but I think I think all those individual picks are great. Like that team could outscore the free hit team.
Easily.
It is a good team.
Which is why you're picking those players. That's just that bit, like you're saying, is you pick the guys who you really, really like. The free hit team does not have those guys that we like in it.
What about Mateta then, Adams? We've already said, let's say that he does get 60 or around there. Would you not consider to bench him for Enzo, for example?
Yeah, I mean, I guess actually that might be actually not a bad shout because they're both penalty takers right now because Palmer's not fit. So that might actually be a better shout, to be honest, because actually if he does get a goal, it's a point more for Enzo. And Yeah, that might be a good move actually.
I don't know. I'm not saying he should do it, but I'm just saying it's food for thought, isn't it? If you
Yeah,
knew he was going to get 60 or 65, which I suppose we aren't going to know, but potentially.
Yeah. I'd like to hear something from Glasner. He's pretty open, but does he mention anything about the reason why he took Mateta off on 60 odd? Did
Mm,
he say, look, we're just managing the minutes? And then you're like, God, if you're
mm.
managing minutes on because that's the turnaround's horrific. Like away in Strasbourg on 8 o'clock on a Thursday night, and then it's midday Sunday. It's as bad as it could be.
yeah.
He's usually quite straightforward, though, any so hopefully we'll get something. On the Reinders one, quickly, I know like the Man City 11 this week should be pretty obvious considering how bad it was. Everyone just thinks it's going to be the team versus Newcastle, right? The complete opposite 11, apart from Nico Gonzalez. I do think that there's like two positions in the team that are maybe up for debate, and that would be Bernardo Silva or Reinders, because I do think Pep would normally want to play Reinders over Bernardo Silva in a game like this. It's just after what happened last night and the way the whole team was set up, it's probably more of a question mark over it. But I think if you were to get a leak, I wouldn't trust it. I'd still say Silva's probably favourite to start. But I think if Man City were playing well, then Reinders would start this over Bernardo Silva for me
Yeah.
because it's just the team. It's just the kind of game that I think he would be more useful in. They're not going to need Bernardo Silva as much as they would need Reinders. So there's potential, I guess, if you get a leak there.
Yeah. I'll keep my ear to the ground.
No moves.
No moves, just a plan. But yeah, things could move around. Let's go to you, Luke. Move ourselves down.
Yeah. Do I need to read it out or anything or not?
I mean, we do have audio on this, so yeah.
Just checking.
Fire through it.
I can't now because I've just got Baker's mug just appeared. My team's disappeared. Let me find my team. Yeah. So Raya, Virgil, Keane, Mukulele, Saka, Minty, Bruno Fernandes, Sarr, Enzo, Mateta, Haaland, and then on the bench I've got Senesi at the moment with Rodon and Krupi. But I have got three free transfers and 2 million in the bank. And like we've already said, I'm going to have to start using the transfers. So at the moment, I'm kind of favouring doing Krupi up to Thiago and then taking Enzo out for Anderson from Forest.
Okay.
Rather than target any individual, just go for City this week. So that's the other option is just to go, right, now I'll get like Doku or Foden in or something like that. The problem is it gives me a crazy benching headache this week.
Yeah, I was going to say, would you play Anderson?
Probably, which means I'd be benching Minty, benching Senesi already. And actually, when I looked at Solio and review, it also wanted me to use the third transfer and do Rodon to Lacroix as well. So I'd have to either bench Keane or Mukulele or Lacroix and have like the craziest bench because Dubravka's even potentially playable in that game, right? I wish I had bench boost if that was a scenario. But I don't want to do that extra one. I would prefer just to keep it because I'm probably not going to play Lacroix. So I've already got a bit of a headache because I think Senese, Keane, Mukulele is a bit of a problem. And then if I was to get Anderson versus Minty, and then Mateta might be a problem. So it might be that after this discussion of Mateta again, that I end up benching Mateta. So I'm kind of all over the place. My team, I'm going to bench points this week. There's no two ways about it if I do that.
So Anderson, if Morgan Gibbs White's out, it's between good
Him
old
and Jesus.
him and Jesus for pens, but Jesus doesn't tend to play 90 anyway. So at worst, you probably get 20 minutes of Anderson pens.
I just think he's great. Anyway, I think he's so under. Like I've had him most of the season. He keeps
And he
going
was
down
rested
in price.
tonight, came on second half. He did get booked, but we forget that.
The reason why I also like him to come in now is because, like we just talked about with Thiago, there are some weeks that you might want to bench him, and then having that using Anderson in those spots is like fine.
Yeah.
Or Minty as well. It's like the three of them can rotate as to which one's on the bench.
Yeah, I like this Thiago. I do like it better if you've got it like you two potentially have it, where you've got Haaland, Mateta, and Thiago, like I say, and then yes, you can have then a cheaper guy in midfield where it's like, yeah, I'll bench him out and do this, or play the fourth defender.
And then I think long term, it's Mateta out to say Mark Guy, and then money up for Palmer or whoever in midfield, somewhere in midfield.
Yeah,
But yeah, it's just the psychological thing of having a bench potentially this week of like Minty, Senesi,
But we're all going to
Anderson.
face into that because we've got this situation where it's like use a transfer when normally what I'd do is just play that guy who
Mm.
sits on my bench quite a bit. Like we're going to have defensive things where we're looking at it all the time, all the time. I'm thinking, who am I going to bench? My first bench is in the next few weeks. Like we're still going to make moves even with strong first benches. I think in the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, and it could be a good thing, right? If the player gets totally rested, that's always the worry, though, is that the players just come on if they don't start over this period. So yeah, it's either that or just wait until Saturday. Go with Man City picks, get two of them in there, and just go, yeah, whatever, because I've got transfers to sort it out later if I need to. So that's the alternative option.
Yeah, because you have got three. So even if you used two, for example, you're still going to have two again next week.
Mm. Yeah. So yeah, I'm not fully decided yet. I'll wait, but probably going to go more boring.
You got the money for Enzo to Doku.
Yep, yeah, that's my other. That's probably the move I will make if I don't do the Anderson and Thiago thing.
So you could do Thiago and Doku for
Oh, I
Krupi
haven't
and
actually,
Enzo.
I haven't actually checked that. I'm not sure if I could do that. I was just going to do Doku if that's the case.
I think so
I'll
because
wait.
I think Enzo's more expensive
Enzo's
than
6'7", isn't he? So Enzo's Doku's like 0.2 million saving. Rupee
uh,
to
Krupi's 4.6, I think, and you've got 2 million and Thiago's 6.5. So
yeah,
I think you
you can get there.
can just get
Yeah.
a.
Well, maybe I'll do that. We'll see.
Yeah, you can get there.
Put my money where my mouth is.
And you still have two free transfers next week.
Yep. Yeah. It's a decent position to be in, to be fair. I wildcarded fairly recently, so that's why I've ended up in this situation. I wish I'd wildcarded earlier, believe me.
You must have a Keane and Minter. You must have a good week last week, surely.
Honestly, like my team has actually done really well overall in terms of points from all different places all over the whole season. My main issue is I haven't had Semenyo
And Enzo. You had
all
Enzo,
season.
Minter, and Keane last week. Did
Yeah,
you
I
play
had a
them
decent.
all?
Yeah. Oh no,
How
didn't
many?
play Keane. Didn't play Keane. Didn't play
Oh,
Keane.
okay.
Benched
Both
him
you
versus
did.
Man United. Yeah, unfortunately. But like strange my season. Most people have had this issue where Haaland's kind of carried their team, and then they've had Semenyo and Senese get them points, and basically everyone else has done nothing. Whereas I've had completely the opposite. I've had Salah all season, no Haaland, no Semenyo at all, and I only got Senesi a few weeks ago, who's pretty much done nothing since he come in. So my points have actually come from all my players
Yeah.
somehow, which is a weird scenario because most weeks they seem to be crap, but.
Yeah.
Well, let's move to you, Baker. Do you want to see your team or your free hit team? Which one do we want to just?
But let's do my actual team.
Yeah.
Because I put it on Twitter earlier and everyone said I shouldn't free hit. This would be the move I would make if I was to do my one transfer that I have got in the bank. I've got one transfer in free and 1.7 in the bank. So Pope and goal at Everton, Senesi, Richards, and Virgil. I would do Rice to Foden this week, and then I've got Semenyo, Saka, Bumo, Sarr, Haaland, and Mateta. Bench really burn first bench is probably the only thing of any use. But yeah, that would be my way of going. Okay, if I wasn't free hitting this week, I would be there. There's nothing wrong with the team. There's nothing wrong with the team really. They're all nice.
Yeah, there's really not anything wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with it. That's
Have you?
that's
I'm assuming you've looked at the other free hit weeks then, and there's even less wrong with those.
There really isn't a lot wrong with those. Is there's not likely to be. My team of 14 looks really good. One of the things is what I don't like. Obviously, if I did this one where I do Rice to Foden, I have very little in the bank, and it does mean I then start going into weeks, and I'm like, I actually have no roots in 14, 15 into Arsenal defence at all. Um, and yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not sure that I want to go another week without Timber. Whereas if I just keep Rice, well, I'll be very happy to have Rice and Saka next week, and I'd probably add Timber to that list.
So new manager bounce is going to be dangerous for Virgil, isn't it?
Could be. Well, actually, I would have a route because I could just do Virgil to.
Yeah.
I could just do Virgil to Timber.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm just not 100% sure I want to spend that 1.7. That there are guys that I really like the look of for these few weeks. I like Bruno. I think, it's fantastic. 14, 15 in short turnarounds, great fixtures. What more would you want than the guy that plays all the minutes? So love Bruno, love Timber across 14, 15. Wouldn't mind the opportunity of one of them. Also looking at some idiots like Harvey Barnes and the likes and all of those kind of idiots. I just think there's bits where I'm like, I'm not sure I definitely want to spend that money this week. So that does come into my thinking is once I do this, I'm like, okay, what do I do next week? Do I really want Foden? Would I have Foden away at Fulham next week? Or would I have Rice home to Brentford? I think I'd rather have Rice, which sounds insane. So we move to free hit. Unless something happens in presses or something that spooks me, is it's likely to be free hit. I have no money, as you can see. Albeit I could take some money out the first sub. Had to get some kind of Spurs into my free hit, home to Fulham. Didn't mention them at all. But good old Mickey van der Ven is currently first sub for me at 4.8. He's my cash cow if I need to raise a bit of money in this team. But I've got Martinez in goal. I really like the idea. I hate the idea. Well, I actually hate the idea of not doubling up on a defense in free hit. I love my double and treble ups on defense. Go for it. So Martinez and Cash in defense with O'Reilly. I've gone Coyote over. They can still be any of Vandenberg or Collins. Just as I said, money just muck around with Van der Ven. Very happy. We've got a few Brentford guys that regularly comment and so forth if they want to give me a view on it. I just like the fullbacks in these ones. I don't expect the defenders to get DEFCON. He plays higher up the pitch than the other guys. I think sometimes just because he takes the throw ones, it's like almost that's all we think he does, but he actually puts a decent ball in as well. And he gets shots. So I think he's averaging something like 1.5 shots a game so far this season. That's quite a lot.
It does feel like the fact that he takes the throw-ins is like it takes away a route to points because I think it happened once. It did happen once, didn't it? At the end of one of the games, I can't remember who got the flick on, but
the people that are scoring off the throw-ins are Thiago and Sharda.
Yeah.
That even it's not like you're going, oh well, actually, because it means Collins and Van der Berg are scoring it because actually
No.
just firing at those things and then scrambles happen and so forth. But I think it's different when if it's a centre back that's taking the throw-ins. I think that's slightly different. This is still the most attacking defender that they have. That's different to say, for example, Richards, for example. Like if he's still, comfortably, if you look at any kind of heat map type thing or position maps or using the pass maps or anything, Cody is quite comfortably their highest positioned defender. So you're like, well, okay, you never know. So yeah, I like it. I like him, I think, over those ones. It feels more fun. Salah, Foden, Rodgers, Sharda, Gakpo, Haaland, Thiago. That's the front seven. So it's only really Gakpo that I'm a bit icky over.
I like it. I think it's very, very template, isn't it, for the front seven? There's not necessarily anything wrong with that because it's a template for a reason.
It's like the bar Salah and Gakpo, the entire free hits at home. It's mental. It's so good. It's so much. It's so good.
But it's all in on 14s.
Yeah.
Everything.
That's how it should be. How free hit should be, mate. Because if it's not, that's the thing though. Because if it's not, like the Premier League isn't so one-sided that the top 10 teams are much, much better than the bottom 10 teams. So there's always going to be matchups most weeks where you get one or two, significant favourites. Here, there's like 4, and even the teams like Brentford and Villa are playing. They're playing the 2 worst teams in the league, so it's like literally perfect.
Mm. Yeah, but you're just trusting the numbers, aren't you? If it fails, you've still made the smart play. So it's like anything can fail any week, but can you beat yourself up for doing the thing that all the people that do the stats say that this is the best way to do it? Well, you can't, can you? So you've got that almost security blanket of saying, well, I made the right move. Have you guys ever played daily fantasy as well? I don't know if you guys ever have done that, but If you're shooting for the moon, the teams that win the daily fantasy are the teams that stack. They're the teams that always line
Yeah.
up. I know that FPL only allows you to have 3 from each team, but other games will allow you to have 4 and 5 and stuff. And it's like Sky in the past game week 1. It's like Spurs win 5-0 opening day. The team that's top is obviously the team with 11 Spurs players.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel like doing that. The only thing maybe I think you can throw in here to add that extra level of engagement of risk is going for a triple up on defense. It's just saying, right, I'm going to
Yeah.
back that team for the clean sheet. All of those teams could get a clean sheet there in your picks, but the likelihood is that maybe 1 or 2 of them don't. Right, that's what happens.
Absolutely.
So you
Yeah,
could just go, do you know what? I'm going to go all in. I'm going to pick 3 Villa for whatever it is, and then
it's
just
just
hope they get it.
Rodgers. I like him too much. That's the problem.
Yeah, I get it. I get it.
And it's the same on that. I'm actually looking at it. Even if I look at it, God, it makes me sound like the most biased man in the world. But if we're thinking about potential 15, 17 pointers, I do still think that Van der Ven's much more likely to get a 15 pointer than I do Coyote this week. I wonder if Van der Ven was 0% owned, I'd probably go Van der Ven this week. I think I possibly would.
I think if you're in the business of being able to predict future 15 pointers for centre backs, then you're an absolute wizard. I wouldn't beat yourself up too much about that.
Just standing in front of the keeper for every set play.
He's nailed on 15 points now, any after we've said this. Like he's definitely going to do it.
Yeah.
But they just come quite randomly, don't they? I think that's and people like to sit here and go, oh, this team's bad on set pieces and, he's really good from headers and all this kind of stuff. And it's like, well, then your player just scores in a random game. Like most of the time it's Gabriel, like away versus the top teams or something, or some random time like that. I think if we're going to the level where you're saying, I'm going to pick the centre-back that's going to score the header this week, it's like, give your mind a rest, man. If it happens, it happens.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? You can't.
Exactly.
Can't expect it.
But there's definitely my biased mindset that even though we've just we have conceded 9 goals, but we did play PSG and Arsenal. Fulham have got limited attack at the moment. Jimenez is their only striker on their books, effectively what they've got.
He's certainly the most likely to run down the pitch and beat everyone and score out of that.
Exactly. Exactly. But yeah, there might be a way that Mickey still makes an appearance over Coyote, but we'll see. We'll see come Saturday.
Incredible, and that's us. That's us done. We're there. That's the wrong. That's the wrong one. That's the right one.
That's the right one.
Okay, we're all there.
I messed you around. We didn't actually even cover that far. If anyone's an old school, they'll recognise the kitchen from the old days of where potted. But we were a bit late today, which is my fault because it's my son's fault actually because he decided he didn't want to go to bed. His school's got an inset day tomorrow. So inset's basically just when a school has a day off, teacher training or stuff like that. Are they just doing it to go shopping?
Mate, my kid's school are having them like genuinely like every 2 weeks. Teachers are taking the piss.
I just think it's Black Friday tomorrow, and they're just thinking, "Fuck that! I'm staying at home, and I'm just gonna do some shopping."
You're probably right. We need to get Andy teach mode on here to explain himself days off all over the place.
Inset day. So he's wired. He's freaked out. He's all kinds of out of the normal stuff. So he just kept getting up. So yeah, down in the kitchen. Apologies for being late.
All good, man. All good. Thank you to everyone that's joined us in the chat. Thank you, Luke, for joining us. As I say, last minute, it was like I think I saw the message at like 8 o'clock when we made that call. So yeah, no, it was good to talk City. Good to speak to you. I haven't spoken to you in a while as well, so that was good. And whatever you're doing this week, hope you have a good game week 13. I do hope my team outscores the free hit team, of course. But best of luck, guys, and we will catch you again on Sunday.
See you later.